Hey guys, Nate with Real Power. Just want to talk to you today about some driveline maintenance on our generator systems. Just a few quick steps can help prevent some costly damage later on to your generator, your driveline, possibly even your transmission. Come take a look underneath the truck. Any noise in this area here as you're rotating it could indicate a noise with this CV joint. There's a ball joint inside of there on the CV, or these U joints, or potentially this pillow block bearing in this area here as you're rotating it. If you come up front here to the PTO area, you may hear a little bit of noise, and that's just the backlash in the gear train as you're rotating. That's completely normal. That's not a sign of any problems. This Chelsea here is pretty quiet from the factory, so we're not hearing any grinding noises or any rattling noises, anything like that. You've also got a U-joint here to listen for. All right, now that we know that the bearings are good, let's take a look at the U-joints. Best way to check these is to rotate your drive shaft so it's lined up at the 6 and 12 o'clock position on the U-joint. And just grab here and push up and down. You should not feel any movement, any slop in the U-joint. If you do, that's a sign that that U-joint is wearing out. Rotate the U-joint and check again, turning it approximately 90 degrees. Notice that there's no slop in that U-joint. We're pushing up and down, pulling up and down. There's no movement there whatsoever, so that's good. Let's take a look down here at the CV. We're going to do the same exercise. Everything's at the 6 and 12 o'clock position here. You're pushing up and down. There's no movement or slop in those U-joints. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Same thing, push up and down. There's no slop, no movement in those U-joints. We're going to go up front here. On the four-wheel drive applications, there's one more U-joint set right here. Again, at the 6 and 12 o'clock position, let's just push up and down. No movement. Rotate it 90 degrees. Again, no movement there. Everything looks good. One more thing you want to take a look at when you're looking at these U-joints is a sign of grease spray here. This grease spray actually is coming from this pillow block bearing here, and that's just where the grease came out and is spraying around. That's perfectly normal. What you don't want to see is that grease spray coming from around these U-joint areas. That means that the grease is coming out of the cups. Also inspect for any kind of brown coloring or heat signatures. Blue, purple, anything like that would indicate that these are getting hot and they have no lubrication. And since they are pre-lubricated, there's no way to put lubrication back into them. So that means that something has failed, a seal, a cup, something like that. So any concerns you see there, feel free to send us some pictures or videos and we'll be happy to inspect those. All right, let's move on up here to the PTO area. You'll see on all of the fasteners for the PTO, there's these orange tamper seal marks. What that does is give you a real quick visual indication on if any of these fasteners have loosened up. These marks should all be intact. There shouldn't be any breaks in the paint as you inspect around it. You can see that on several of these fasteners for the drive shaft connecting to the PTO as well. So just inspect those while you're underneath here looking at the U-joints. And if any of those have come loose, then those should be addressed immediately. So this truck here is a very short wheelbase, has a short drive shaft. You'll notice that there's no carrier bearing. We're going to show you what that looks like in just a minute, how to inspect that. But while we're underneath here, there are two grease points. This pillow block bearing here, and then on your slip joint, there's a grease point there. This grease point is going to lubricate this when the truck is moving and torquing. This needs to move slightly. So that's an important grease point along with this pillow block bearing grease point. Those should be greased regularly. You can refer to your owner's manual for the exact time period for when to grease those. But let's go take a look at a truck with a carrier bearing so we can look at how to inspect that. All right, guys, here we are underneath a longer wheelbase two-wheel drive truck. You're going to notice that the Design of the driveline looks very similar, except for we do have a carrier bearing here. What we want to inspect for is making sure that this area, the rubber portion here, is still intact, that you're not seeing any signs of sagging, cracking, or anything in that area. You will see that there is just a little bit of movement here. That's normal. Um, that's what it's designed for. So you're just kind of looking to see if there's any signs of wear and tear, and that's usually going to be missing rubber, cracked rubber, things like that. This driveline also has sealed U-joints. It does also have a grease zert here for the slip joint, just like the four-wheel drive applications. But on a two-wheel drive, as we go down through here, that is the only grease point. Also, you'll notice this one has a blue PTO for our two-wheel drives. It has the same markings as the four-wheel drives, so just inspect that while you're underneath here. And again, you're going to check the U-joints the same way, up and down, rotate it 90 degrees, up and down. So let's talk about the filter on the back of the generator here. There's 4 bolts, one at the top there. So there's 4 total. You just take those 4 bolts off. There's a washable filter underneath there. Let's get a look at what that looks like. So this is what your filter is going to look like behind that cover. You're just going to pull that off. Most of the time you can just blow it out with some compressed air. If it's really bad, you can use a hard bristle brush, a little bit of soap, water, scrub it out in the sink, blow it off, and then you can put it back on. These are completely reusable. They don't need to be replaced. The frequency is going to depend a little bit on the conditions that you're using the generator in. Obviously, if it's in a real dirty, dusty condition, you're going to need to check this more often than guys that are using it on hard pavement all day, clean conditions. The first sign that this filter needs checked is going to be the over temperature light on your electrical box. If that over temperature light comes on, you're going to want to shut down the truck, the PTO, and inspect this. If this filter becomes clogged, that's going to restrict your airflow through the generator, causing it to heat up sooner than it should. So just remember, if that over temp light comes on, your PTO is going to shut off. You're going to want to just turn the truck off immediately and inspect this filter. Once that condition goes away, the PTO will automatically re-engage if the truck is running. So you don't want to be underneath the truck and have that re-engage. So just make sure you always shut off the truck before you take a look at this filter. One last thing I want to show you here. Inside the door of every one of these trucks, we put a sticker with a QR code. If you just scan that with your phone, it's going to take you directly to our website, directly to the owner's manuals with all the maintenance information that we just discussed here. So real quick place to keep that handy. And just in conclusion here, about once a month, if you'll just slide underneath your truck, take a look at those U-joints, rotate that drive shaft, make sure everything's spinning freely, no noises, anything like that. You want to make sure you grease that ball joint if you have a four-wheel drive truck on the double cardans. On the two-wheel drives, you're going to check that carrier bearing. On all drive shafts, you've got the slip joint that you're going to want to grease. But just doing these few little things once a month shouldn't take more than about 10 minutes. But what it's going to do is keep you from having any downtime with your truck and will drastically increase the life of your real power generator system. So thanks for watching, guys.